Well, it happened. It actually happened. We got the casting announcement for the Harry Potter reboot show, and I just can't believe it's actually happening. This feels way too soon. I would have been okay with the reboot in 60 years' time, but this is just insane. It hasn't even been 15 years since the series ended, but it seems like this is reality, so all I could do is wish the best to all the cast members, and I hope the show is able to have its own identity. Now, with the casting announcement, once again, I got reeled back into watching these movies on loop. Now, I'll never be able to rank these movies. I love them all way too much. They are all 10 out of 10 for me, flaws and all. There has never been or will ever be a more perfect series of movies for me, but I did think of a way to rank these movies, and that is by their soundtracks. Now, I've mentioned it here and there in my videos, but I am such a shill and a geek when it comes to original soundtrack music. I love them. Legitimately, my Spotify playlist is just a bunch of original soundtrack music. Now, the Harry Potter franchise has been gifted with 4 great composers to helm the soundtrack for these films. Every composer brought their own identity and passion to the series, and every single composer has written at least one staple score for the series. John Williams obviously wrote all the themes and motifs for these incredible characters, and was able to adapt and mature his scores with the films as they went on. Patrick Doyle, while only composing one film, brought a darker tone to the film. Nicholas Hooper, I feel, had a bit more liberty than Doyle, as he was able to create more whimsical melodies for Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince, and Alexandre Desplat is just goated, but apparently it's not a very popular opinion, because up until this video I had no idea he was hated that much. So let's rank them. Number 8, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Yeah, like I said, I adore these films, but if there's any movie I tend to skip over a lot of the time, it would probably be this one. And not because it's a bad film, but the sole reason is because of the soundtrack. I am not kidding, I am that petty. A movie could be S tier, but if the soundtrack ain't good enough, it goes down to a B tier. Now, unfortunately, I really don't like the soundtrack for this one. It feels like it deviates the most from all the other films. It feels the least magical, and thematically, I just don't think it matches the movie's themes or atmosphere too much. For example, this track. I hate this track. I don't know why. It's not bad, but I just can't stand it. But for every off track, there is a good one, like Umbridge's theme. But if I'm being honest with myself, this is the most inconsistent soundtrack for me. I'm actually editing this video right now, and I was listening to the whole track again, and I actually don't think it's that bad. I think I just heavily dislike Flight to the Order of the Phoenix that much, and it has completely clouded my judgment. It's actually not that bad, but I still think it's not as good as all the other ones. Number 7, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This was the first movie in the series not composed by John Williams, and you can tell. Now, I'll credit the score for actually matching the tone pretty well, but this is also a case of half decent scores and half not. But if there's any praise I could give these movies specifically, is that they all at least try something new. They don't just recycle themes from older movies. Goblet of Fire does have one of my favorite opening tracks. But the first half of the score is pretty bad. The only banger I think would be the dragon fight track and the U-Ball. I will say this is the only soundtrack that actually starts to actively annoy me. There is some stuff I really like in here, but Doyle tends to write too melodramatic for me. Number 6, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Unlike Order of the Phoenix, I think Nicholas Hooper actually killed it with the soundtrack. The use of guitar is beautiful. He also focuses a lot more in the orchestra, and ultimately it's just a superb soundtrack. But if there's any credit I could give this man, is his composition for this banger of the song. Half-Blood Prince is also a phenomenal soundtrack that conveys dread, melancholies, and sorrows. This man correctly facilitated the atmosphere required for the darker themes explored in the later films. Dumbledore's Farewell, especially, is an incredible piece that conveys the weight and dread of loss of such an important figure in the story. Number 5. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This feels incredibly low on the list as I do religiously listen to this track, but I do think the other ones are just a bit better. For this original soundtrack, John Williams was able to elaborate and further push the magical kid wonder aspect of these films before they matured with their audience. The new motifs are a welcome addition to the franchise. The obvious standout here is obviously Fox's theme, which is truly John Williams at his best. Thematically, he was able to juggle the narrative with such precision through his tracks, something we've already discussed isn't so easy to do. A continuation of the classic themes, but upgraded somewhat. And again, Fox is Reborn is one of my favorite scores of the whole franchise. Number 4. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. I actually wasn't aware how disliked this track was for a lot of Potter fans, especially how disliked Alexandre Desplat was. If there's one department Part 1 stands out in, it's the score. Oblivion immediately cements itself as one of the best tracks for me. It really does feel like the beginning of the end, a song that picks up more and more energy as it goes along. Some of the other notable tracks here are Godric Hollows Grave, or the track when they're in the Ministry of Magic. Desplat is great at motifs in both of these movies. The overall tone greatly matches the film, and in general, there's so many memorable tracks here. Number 3, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I've heard the argument that this track is very blockbuster-like, and I mean, I kind of see it, but then again, I don't. Alexandre Desplat was a rising star at the time, and he didn't disappoint. It was a sort of clash between rousing orchestral movements of Doyle's Goblet of Fire and the more intimate and emotional tracks from Hooper's scores. A lot of people feel like the final movie recycled a bunch of tracks from the earlier films, and while I do agree, I don't think it was as egregious as Rise of Skywalker. If anything, Desplat was able to incorporate them while slightly tweaking them to fit the narrative more cohesively. Also, people that don't like the score obviously just don't like the sauce in their films. Listen to this. Number 2. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Without a doubt, the score I hold closest to my heart. This is the soundtrack everyone associates Harry Potter with. These are the tracks that are played on loops in the theme parks. I would argue the Harry Potter theme is almost as recognizable as the Star Wars theme. The track for the Sorcerer's Stone was able to encapsulate the entire magical world perfectly. John Williams really was the most perfect fit to start off the series, and I for one would have loved it if he finished the series. I love every track here, from the winter theme to the chilling track that makes me cry every time I listen to it. There's just so much humanity and love here, and if it wasn't for this next soundtrack, this would have been on top. Number 1. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Prisoner of Azkaban has to be John Williams' top 5 score of all time. The sheer versatility of themes and style on display is masterful. While he introduces the iconic motifs from the first 2 Harry Potter films, the tonal shift in Azkaban clearly sparked something new, something bold. Rather than relying too heavily on what he'd done already, Williams built an entirely fresh soundscape that matches the film's darker, more introspective mood. He leans into the medieval-inspired sound that feels right at home in the Gothic halls of Hogwarts. The Patronus theme is transcendent, a soaring, angelic chorus that feels like it's echoing through an old cathedral, perfectly capturing themes of memory, soul, and personal triumph. Then there's the quiet, emotional longing of A Window to the Past, one of the most beautiful and melancholic pieces in the entire franchise. And that's all on top of the original main theme, which remains iconic. Now, I'm not saying the other scores aren't incredible, but Azkaban is just levels above the other ones. And I mean, that's that. Every composer was able to leave their fingerprint on the franchise with their incredible music. Some were better than others, but I'm still glad we got to enjoy the work from all of them.